Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Gen Politics. So today I want to break down a video that the New York Post had uploaded, which is talking about Nick Fuentes, and it's a PSA for parents about how their children might secretly be Groypers and what we need to do about it. So let's go through this video and kind of break down the main points this woman is giving.
Most parents don't know who Nick Fuentes is, but they absolutely must make themselves familiar with him and his ideas in order to protect their boys.
Red hot takes. Yeah, certainly not the mainstream
is host
take.
of the America First podcast, which he has on Rumble. And apparently, according to the New York Times, in just the past several months, his views have quintupled on the platform. And he also has 1 million followers on X. So even though he might not be a household name, his reach is growing exponentially.
Because he's on his generational run. And the more they try to censor him, the more he's got like the hidden knowledge, right? He's got the, everybody thinks the government's corrupt. Everybody thinks the media is lying to them. So when you have the person who's getting ostracized for their beliefs saying, I actually know the truth, not just Nick, but people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and basically the whole America First movement, they're like, we have the secret knowledge. We have the information that the government doesn't want you to know. And so people find that really alluring and they're very interested. And now Nick's show is by his own merits, it's like she said, it's quadrupling, and then also just going on more podcasts. There really is something to be said because they're like, we can't platform him. And that was kind of true. This is both true and not at the same time. It depends on the circumstances. And so platforming people, sometimes you do want to platform people who have really bad ideas, so then you can like destroy their ideas. And so that's what people have always said about Nick Fuentes is, oh, well, you should just have him on because then it'd be easier for you to destroy his ideas, right? Fox News, you think he's bad. Ben Shapiro, you think he's bad. Like the Groypers would say, hey, have Nick Fuentes on if he's so damaging and bad, you'll easily be able to destroy his points. And if he was somebody like, like a flat earther or, a Klan member or somebody whose ideas were really, really actually stupid and terrible, it would be very easy to platform people and then make them look like fools. Well, the problem with Nick Fuentes is his ideas aren't wrong. His ideas aren't inherently wrong. And so they know that's why they shouldn't platform him. It's not like they don't want to platform him because they don't want to make him popular. That's the real reason. So you can either platform people to make them look bad or acknowledge that if you platform them, more people will hear what they say and they might sound more reasonable. So it's a double-edged sword. And the media knows that his ideas are actually reasonable, a majority of them, a majority of the time, and so they don't want to platform him. That's why they've always said, you can't platform these people. You can't platform them. So that's why they actually won't have him on. I know Groypers and people have made that argument, oh, it'd be easy to destroy his ideas and whatnot. But even the Groypers are making that disingenuously because they know that that's just a trap. They're trying to get Ben Shapiro or whoever to fall into the trap of having Nick Fuentes on and then getting absolutely bludgeoned by someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So they'll never really want to platform him. They'll want to censor him. And that just makes him more powerful, makes him more alluring. And then whenever he goes on these shows like Patrick Bet-David, or if he gets to go on Joe Rogan, or if he gets to go on Piers Morgan, the more mainstream platforms he will inevitably get put on. Like the big one with Tucker Carlson, like that was huge. It was a huge boost for him. And the more shows he gets to go on, the bigger and more powerful his movement will become. So they are kind of right about that. We shouldn't platform them, right? Like, or they shouldn't. I like Nick Fuentes, so I think that's good that he is being brought back into the mainstream. But from their perspective, it does make sense why they don't want to platform him.
On his show, Fuentes has spewed all sorts of extremely controversial beliefs.
White people are every single bit justified in being racist.
Enough with the Jim Crow stuff. Who cares?
A lot of women want to be raped. I will continue my crusade against women in politics.
He even once professed love for Hitler as an opener to a speech.
It's Führer Friday. It is Hitler Friday.
So that's clearly a bit, right? Like the Führer Friday thing. Yeah, they don't have any way to differentiate because the left doesn't have humor. They can't differentiate a bit what's real. And I will give Nick a lot of the times it's really hard to tell what he actually believes and what's a bit. But the thing is that they truly want to take everything at face value and be like, oh, he's little, like they called him Little Hitler for a while and stuff like that. It's like, guys, the name calling, it's not really working. And yeah, he's going to say terrible things. He's going to make dark jokes. He's going to have ideas that maybe go too far. But if you throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, you're not allowed to be critical of the American institutions at all, you can't be critical of our push for diversity at all in any capacity, people start to get really mad. And then they just go in at like all in on the Groypers. You know, they want to be a Groyper, and then it's hard to differentiate. And that's kind of like a tactic too. It's a political tactic of not really knowing where the line is. It's like it's a, you know, somebody says something and you're like, it's a joke if you didn't laugh. You know, kind of like, oh, you didn't laugh. Oh, I meant that as a joke. I didn't actually mean that. There is something to be said about doing that in politics, where you kind of keep things ambiguous. You know, you have a worldview, you have ideas, but you keep things a little vague, a little ambiguous. You don't want to show your full hand. But so, yeah, no, it's not like I'm defending everything he said. Like, and I don't think anybody is. And a lot of the things he said are clearly like within a context. You watch it for more than 5 seconds, it's like clearly a bit. So if you have grievances with specific things he said or specific ideas, like that's what you should be targeting. But to make him seem like the really cool anti-hero, like that's not going to work well for you in the long run, by saying everything he says is terrible. When you say that, and then people are like, okay, but like this is reasonable, and this is true. And so he made these good points, so maybe he's correct about these other points, because you can't at face value say he's right about this, he's wrong about this, because they say he can never be right about anything. So doesn't work out for them
Tucker
in the long
Carlson
run.
on his podcast, which launched an all-out civil war on the right about how far right is too far right to be accepted into mainstream politics. Regardless of
That's true. That is actually true. This whole like Republican Civil War thing happened after that interview, which shows how much prominence he has, and that the right is in a really fragile state. We are a party that is a amalgamation of just a crazy variety of beliefs. Everything from, 40 years ago neocons, the Reaganites, all the way to like the far right, like the America First, even into like the America Only. I mean, you've got libertarians still in the party. You've got, like the neocons. You still have the warhawks running around. You have people who want total isolationism. It's a mess. The Republican Party is, it's gotten to this point because the leadership hasn't changed, because the boomers have held power literally their entire lives. So the ideology has stayed the same at the financial and the political level. But you look at the difference between someone who is 70 and someone who is like 20 now, it feels like the difference is like 300 years of political thought. It's crazy because, and that's what's weird about the Civil War, Republican Civil War, is it's broken up on weird lines because, like one side has all the institutional power, but not the heart and the soul of the people. But the other side has no power, but that's where everybody's aligning themselves. So it's very weird. And we'll see how that goes moving forward. But certainly Nick is going to have a part to play in it, and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens.
Where you stand on that issue, his reach is only growing, and we have to engage with his ideas in order to understand what's actually happening with young men.
See, they say we have to engage with his ideas, but then they like insult everything he's ever said and say he's like a Nazi and like he can't be platformed, and like it just doesn't make any sense. They say the platitudes. We have to engage with the ideas. And what that really means is we're going to post this video with sound bites of how evil he is and warn parents that their children might be listening to someone so evil. That's how we're going to engage with the ideas. It's just completely ridiculous.
Call themselves Groypers.
Racism, not real.
According to the ADL, they are defenders of a white Christian nation, or a vision of America that they see as being under siege.
A Christian nation.
A Republican staffer recently said that he believes that about 1 in 3 young GOP staffers under 30 have some sort of affiliation with the Groyper movement, which is obviously hugely concerning.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That like 1 in 3 staffers, or even I've heard estimates up to like 50% of staffers have some level of association with the Groypers, and not everybody associates as a Groyper. Think of how many people. If you say 1 in 3 is like a Groyper, says I'm a Groyper, they've got a Pepe in their, as like their icon on Twitter or whatever. How many people are America First that don't associate as Groypers? Another 10, 20, 30%? Like the number, it's over. Like it's over, and it's a generational thing, and they're getting more radicalized, and there's going to be more of them. So it's like a silent majority. There's a silent majority even within this group here. Like the outspoken 30%, it's not just them. There's another 30% that is totally on board with them, that just doesn't say I'm a Groyper, doesn't weekly watch Nick Fuentes or whatever. So they're right to be concerned, because their whole political infrastructure is about to be overturned completely.
This movement is less defined by a coherent ideology and more defined by swapping edgelord memes, which is basically a contest of how low can you go and how edgy and provocative and offensive can you be online. How much of this is young men doing some sort of cathartic rebellion in this double life that they're living online versus them actually holding these remarkably regressive and bigoted beliefs that would be completely in contrast with all the values that they were raised with.
So that is ridiculous. Like, there is a coherent ideology. She is talking like it's 2016. Like, oh, it's just a bunch of kids. They're just sharing edgy memes online because it's like a childhood rebellion. It's like, yeah, they were in 2016, and there was no pressure valve. They for 10 years, they have not had a single grievance met. Everything has only gotten worse. Every promise made to them has never been fulfilled. And in fact, they feel their own party has sold them out. They feel their own president, who was like the last chance for America. They thought it was like this is it. It's like, it's Trump or nothing. He'll represent us. He'll finally free us. And no, Trump has completely sold out the Republicans, completely sold out the younger generations. Nothing is affordable. Nothing feels safe. They feel targeted. And so, yeah, it's not about sharing memes anymore. There is a cohesive worldview, and that worldview is America first. We want to put America first and everything that means. So we're done with the forced diversity. We're done with the globalism. We're done with the corporations. Like, the only thing Republicans cared about for the last several decades is like, how much money can we make shareholders? They don't care about that anymore. They want jobs. They want houses. They want to live normal lives. The problem is, you've taken people who should have lived normal lives in pretty much ignorant bliss. They just go to high school, go to college if necessary, get a job, get a wife, have a house, don't really think too deeply. But the problem is, you've thrown them in the wild. You've taken somebody who should have lived a normal life, and you have put them in an environment where they are forced to care about these issues. And now suddenly they've returned from the wild, and they're pissed off that you threw them out there, and they have the skills to overturn everything you're done, all your institutions. And so, like, you're taking people, they never should have been here. They never should have been in this situation. And you did that to them. You created this by not appeasing them at all in any capacity. Like, you have a totally corrupt government. You have a government that sells itself out to other countries. We give all our money away. Everybody knows it's corrupt. It's covering for insider trading and other illegal activities that all our Congress members do. And at the same time, the lives of the ordinary citizens are getting worse and worse and worse, and they can't afford a house. It's like, it's one thing to be corrupt, but I can still afford a house and I can live my life, and I don't really have to think about how corrupt you are because it doesn't affect me. Versus now, where everything is so demonstrably terrible all the time in every sector of life, physically, mentally, spiritually, that they have to care. And their government is corrupt and evil. It's not just like one or the other. Government's corrupt, but like, whatever, it's fine because I'm insulated. Or life is hard, but it's not that big a deal because the government's really trying. It's for external circumstances. natural disasters or whatever. We're really suffering, but it's okay. The government's really trying to help us. They really care. It's not one or the other. It's both. Both suck. Both suck at the same time. So they really believe this stuff. They are all in. It is not a joke. And to downplay it like, oh, they're just being edgy online. It's like, you have no idea what is coming. You have no idea what's coming when they take control of the institutions, when they get elected to political office, because there's going to be no other choice. That's what's crazy about the generational thing is you won't have any other choice in the Republican Party. There won't be any conservatives left. It's like, which Groyper will you want to elect to office? Those are going to be your only options. And so it's just ridiculous how they try to downplay this and then say like, well, how many of them actually hold these ideas that are, I mean, what do I call them? I mean, it's so demonstrably awful. I mean, just totally opposed to everything they've ever been raised with, all the values, they don't care. They don't care if you say that all of the values you express now are not with what you were raised with. And they'll say, yeah, because what I was raised with was propaganda from TV and social media, forced diversity, anti-Christian rhetoric. Those are the ideas we were raised with. And then now you realize that has not benefited anybody. It's not benefited any American at all. It's only making everything worse. And so they're going to say, yeah, I don't care about the name calling. I agree with you. I don't hold the ideas you want to force on me anymore. So they're way past the point of negotiating or appeasing them in any way. Like the people have finally shown up on the doorstep with their pitchforks and torches, and at the last second, the people in the mansion are saying, "What can we do to make you go away?" And you'd say, "You should already know that. You should have known that. You should have done it already. We're already here. You can't make us go away at this point." And that's basically what's happening. Is they're saying, not only do we know you don't care at all because you've never done anything to help us, you don't even know how to help us. It seems you don't even know what we want. And so that's what's like crazy about this. They're so completely out of touch.
Fortunately, people
and they're
like
trying to
Fuentes
cope.
do have an insidious and very, very wide reach.
Insidious.
And for some young
See,
men,
we're going to engage with the ideas, but he's insidious. You can't just sit down and say, why do you have the grievances? And you're just like, everything is expensive. I feel like a foreigner in my own country. Like, it feels like I'm put last in my country. Whether that's true or not, that is a belief that, oh my gosh, if somebody says that to me, you should be really concerned if somebody says, I feel like a foreigner in my homeland, because that means that they don't feel loyalty to the country. They feel very skittish. They're afraid. You should address that and say, oh my gosh, why do you feel that way? Like, that's actually a huge problem. Whether that's true or not, you got to get to the bottom of that. Why do they feel that way? And they just say, oh, it's insidious. How dare you feel that way? How dare you, in any way criticize anything we've done, any of the policies we've pushed? Oh, you don't like how people who live in the U.S. don't speak English? What are you, racist? What do you want to round them all up, put them in camps? And you're like, no, I just want people to speak English in the country. Like, is that hard? And so then they'll say that's what I mean when they've given no ground. So people will say, I have this like legitimate grievance. Like, I remember back in like 2017 or something, I was visiting family in Florida, and I went to a Walmart because we were going to get some stuff, and I wanted to get some swim goggles. And I asked a lady there, like, oh, where are the swim goggles? And she said, sorry, no English. And then like ran away. A worker who clearly did not speak English. And I remember saying, like, why do you work here if you don't speak English? Like, in America, like, that's really annoying. That's really annoying for me, because I go to a store, I want some help, I'm expecting help, and then you don't speak English. Why are you here? And that's like a sentiment from like 2016, 2017, where you're like, I just want people who speak English to be here. And that's not addressed. They don't address that. They say, oh, if you say that, you're racist. You're racist. You hate them all. You're a bigot, whatever. And then further down the line, people say, okay, that wasn't addressed. So actually, it's not just the people that don't speak English that's the problem. It's the people who are here illegally. Well, then it's not only the people who are here illegally, it's the people who are here legally. Like, we just have too many people. Why do we even need these people? Oh, well, it's their right to come to America. Well, why is it that case? And they can't make an argument. They just keep calling you a bigot, or racist, or whatever. And eventually the names just stop working. And that's where the Groypers are now, is they are so far right, you wouldn't even believe it. We're now, it's just like a common talking point where they just we want to end all legal immigration. no more legal immigrants. We don't want anybody else here. That's where you're headed. So basically you're already here, but that's going to be like the normal policy for Republicans in like a couple of years. And that's because you didn't address the small grievances. If you address the small grievances, like, I just wish houses were like a little bit more affordable. And you're like, okay, yeah, we'll do something to make it a little bit more affordable. I wish not all the jobs were sold out to H-1Bs. Okay, yeah, we'll actually do that. We'll bring in more immigrants, but we'll stop giving like entry-level jobs to H-1Bs. Any little thing they could have done to appease people and let them live just a normal life would have worked. At least would have delayed this for a longer time, 10, 20 more years. But no, they had to add insult to injury and make everything worse. And the worst offender of this was COVID. COVID was the last straw. This is where, like, you had the direct turning point. You ruined, like, millions of people's lives. You ruined certain experiences, informative years for people. I knew people, because I was in college. I think it was my end of my first year was COVID. And so I knew people later on who were in high school. And, like, hearing like the horror stories of basically what they had to go through just to like exist, and you're locked in your house the whole time. You can't go anywhere. You can't go do anything. And even things like, I couldn't go to my prom because of COVID. I couldn't have my senior year basketball year. I couldn't play because of COVID. And you're like, that's so stupid. That's so dumb. That's so like, who even cares about that in the long run? It's like in their formative years, they care. They will remember that the rest of their lives. You took this from me. You took this from me. That's the thought, is like the government, you took this from me. And not only did you take this from me, you've taken this from me, the jobs, the houses, the opportunities, freedom of speech, and you've given it to another group. You've given it to all the foreigners. That's why they want America first. That's why it's called America first, because they feel something was taken from them and then right in front of their eyes, given to somebody undeserving of it. So that's why they're pissed. And that's why you're probably not putting that genie back in the bottle, because you've done so much damage that I don't think there is any more time to negotiate. And things keep getting worse. They're not even trying to make things better. That's what's crazy. They're not even trying. They keep saying, what can we do? And they don't even try to help.
They're beginning to start to say things that they don't really mean in order to get a rise out of people.
No, they absolutely mean them. Yeah, they absolutely mean what they're saying.
Of brotherhood of Groyper offensiveness. And unless we are aware of what our kids are interacting with online, then we can never have an actual civil conversation with them and help them engage with these ideas critically.
Yeah, and if you said, what is your solution? Like, if you could do anything you want, what would you do? And I guarantee, because you can see how upset she is, and anybody in this anti-Groyper sphere, they would say ban them. They would say, make it illegal. You can't say that. You can't just deplatform them. And guess what? They did that, and it didn't work. And he's just growing stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's like, these people don't actually want to negotiate in good faith. They don't want to, actually talk about the ideas, engage with the ideas, as they said, what our children are watching. They'd want to ban it outright. They think this is a clear threat to their institutions, which it absolutely is. And so they want to eliminate it by force, by whatever means necessary. And so they're not, it's not even worth engaging in debate with them. I'm basically just making this video to kind of critique their points and just say, like, look, it's over. It's long past the point of negotiation. Like, what's going to happen is the Groypers are going to get in power, and then they're going to do what you did to them, which is they're going to silence your speech. They're going to pass laws that you can't act or behave certain ways. They're going to create policies. They want to turn your whole society upside down. Like, their version of paradise is the opposite of what's happening right now in places like California and New York and Chicago. Like, that's what they want. They want the complete opposite. And so they're going to do everything you did to them, and it's going to be so much worse because there's going to be such like an ire to it. There's going to be so much wrath. Like I said, they're going to remember what you took from them, the opportunities you took from them in their youth, and they're pissed about it. And it's never good to have a large cohort of upset men who can't even just live normal lives. They can't get married. They can't get, quote unquote, domesticated by their wives, which does happen to a certain degree. They get more pacified. They have attachments to their area because they have a house. They're not rootless. They're not, companionless, which a lot of these people are now. A lot of the Groypers are finding friends among themselves, but like society as a whole has just made men, like you just brought out the worst, where you brought out like, you've made it an environment, not to say like these people are the worst, it's to say like you've created an environment where people are antisocial, where they don't have the ability for opportunity. It's not a meritocracy anymore because you can't compete in an environment against the entire world. Americans cannot compete against the entire world in the sense that Indians are willing to work for like a tenth of the wages Americans are. Like that's the reality. And so are the Chinese. And so you can't compete against that and live a first world life. So it's far past the point for negotiations, I think, on this. And I think that they're so out of touch, and they want the parents to like condemn their children. It's like the children don't even care. Like they're not going to listen to their parents, and it's going to be internalized. And you can do whatever you want to stop this movement. You can get rid of Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson one way or another. I think we all know that they can try to censor them. They can try to eliminate them. It doesn't matter because it's already there. It's already in like the 20-year-olds. It's in the 18-year-olds. It's even in like the high schoolers. I'm sure even middle schoolers are watching Nick Fuentes. Some they're seeing the clips on Instagram and whatnot. And so even if you kill this movement for 20 years, you just make it illegal to say any of this stuff. You silence all of them. Everybody goes underground. 20 years later, when they're in power, it's going to just spark up again immediately because this is never going away. They're never going to unthink this stuff. They're never going to unthink about what you took from them. So that's kind of my thoughts on this. I think this is just completely ridiculous that they're still trying to downplay it. They're still trying to say, well, it's just a bunch of kids sharing memes online. They have always refused to engage with the actual problems, because if they actually engaged with them, they would, the onlookers would realize that all these people are lying. The media is lying. This stuff isn't working. Everything they've done isn't working. So they refuse to engage with the ideas, and their term of engagement is really censorship. And then now that hasn't worked. It's totally not worked. It's completely backfired. Like I said in the beginning, it's made them more popular. It's made them cooler. People on the American First track. And so at this point, I don't think there's anything you can do. What can you possibly do? You couldn't censor them by force, which is usually like the last case scenario, is you use force in one way or another, like removing them from the banking system and censoring them from being able to use their freedom of speech online. What else can you do besides, what happened to certain political people who speak out, short of that, what else can you do? And even if you do that, like I said, there's way more Groypers now than Nick Fuentes. And if Nick Fuentes meets some sort of untimely death, which we would never want, his ideology will live on. And whether that shows up a year from now after an incident like that, or 10 years or 20 years, it doesn't matter because it's here to stay. It's internalized at this point in millions of young Americans. So the future is bright. And it's not a matter of if anymore. It's just a matter of when. When does this ideology take over? Probably when most of the boomers die out, because they still hold on to all the power and all the money. And that's basically all going to evaporate all at once. And you'll have these people taking office. And now with Nick starting this like America First Foundation, actually trying to get candidates in, if they start to carve out slices for themselves of the government with actual institutional power, if a couple Bitcoin billionaires or whoever donate to these campaigns, start funding them, more benevolent Gen Xers and whatnot, who like Tucker Carlson, who realize that something needs to be done before people get too radical. There needs to be some level of appeasement. There needs to be some needs met before people just refuse to listen to anything anymore. That's what you don't want. You don't want this to go too far where the needs are not met so much that people can't even survive in their daily lives, because then at that point you've created animals. You've created people who have nothing to lose, which is very dangerous. So we don't want to see that happen. So that's my thoughts on this. You made it all the way through the video. I appreciate it. If you like the content, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comments below about anything she said or anything I said. I'm curious what people think about this across the different age groups. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.